Someone in the comments has asked to see my car CB radio setup, so we'll take a quick look at that now. So for those of you that already got CB radios in your car, you may or may not be interested, but for people maybe watching this thinking, oh, should I get myself a CB, maybe completely new to it, or I haven't had a CB for a long time, let's show you quickly the car setup I've got and how easy it is to set a CB radio up in your motor. So I've got a 2006 Land Rover Freelander 1. I love it. It's a great car. It's got no bells and whistles. It's very crude, but it goes pretty much anywhere, and I don't think that big old CB antenna looks at all out of place up on the roof. So the antenna that I've got is the Sirio, I think it's called P5000, but if you put in Sirio 5000, that will come up, that will come back. I think they're about 45-50 pounds to buy. It's a big old antenna, and the quirky bit about it is when you key up, it glows green, so people can see when you're keying up. I'm not sure if I really like that or not. I keep thinking about covering it up with gaffer tape, but it's a mag mount, so there's no fixings or fittings needed. You literally just plonk the magnet down onto the roof. Ideally, the antenna would be in the middle of your roof, because that would achieve the greatest signal from around the car. I've got it at the back of the car. I know it sounds silly, but I think it looks better. I don't like the look of it in the middle of the car, and I doubt it makes that much difference. So yeah, I've got mine on the back of the car. From there, you just get your coax cable and you thread your coax cable through the door frame. You've got to be really careful not to pinch the coax or bend it at a really tight angle, because if you do, that can affect your SWR. And you want that really ideally at 1.1. I'll explain what SWR is in layman's terms in a moment, but yeah, as you're threading your coax cable through, you want to make sure that you're not pinching it or bending it into too tighter an angle. I've been lucky with the Land Rover and the CRV that I had before, in that when the doors are shut, it doesn't pinch that coax cable too badly. So from there, you just thread it wherever you're going to thread it through the car. Again, try and keep it as straight as you can as possible. Mine goes under the passenger seat. It kind of loops under the mat, the passenger side mat, and from there it goes into the back of my CB radio. So for the antenna, that's it. The CB radio I have is the CRT SS 9900. So this one isn't actually a CB radio, it's an amateur radio that is capable of broadcasting on the CB frequency, so on those 27 megahertz frequencies. Now, the advantage of having a radio like this is it pumps out a lot more watts than a standard CB radio, and the more watts, the further your transmission is going to travel. So a standard CB radio is limited to 4 watts of power on FM. I think it's 4 watts of power on AM, and I think it's 12 watts of power on SSB. This CRT SS 9900 does about 40 watts on FM and AM, and I think it's about 60-65 watts on the sidebands. But again, you can Google that, the CRT SS 9900. These are a little bit more money, admittedly, than some of your standard CB radios, but there's not a huge amount in it. And if you ever did decide to upgrade yourself and get yourself a ham, an amateur radio license, then you've got a radio there that's good to go. The CB radio, or the amateur radio that can transmit on 27 megahertz, that is powered in this car. It's just plugged into the 12-volt socket. You can wire it directly into the car battery. I've not found I needed to, The interesting thing though is my car can't really power this radio on full power unless the engine's on. So the engine has to be turned on to be able to operate this CB radio on full power. With regards to my mic, again, I didn't want to fix anything onto the car, so the mic cradle, the holder for the microphone, that's just held down with a couple of sticky fixers, and the microphone just fits in like that. So it's a pretty good setup. Oh, and the radio itself, I was very lucky with that in this one as well, in that I didn't even need to fix it. In the Freelander, it just so happens that it fits in perfectly with no screws, no brackets, nothing required in between to the side of the passenger seat and the driver's console, and that's been there for almost a year. It has never fallen out, but it means if I want to remove the radio, that's very easy to do, really easy to do. So that's essentially my my car setup. I've not really done anything else in the Land Rover, to be honest. I think it's handy to have an automatic when you've got a CB radio, because your left hand is always free. If you've got to change gears, probably a lot more awkward to use a CB radio as you're driving. And you can legally use a CB radio whilst you're driving, but you still want to do so with caution, because although nobody could pull you over for using a CB radio while you're driving, if you got in an accident and you were found to be using your CB whilst that accident happened, you could be done for driving without due care and attention. But the actual act of using a CB radio whilst you're driving is not illegal. Not yet anyway, although I suspect if CB radio ever gets any more popular, if we see a resurgence in the popularity of CB radio, it's only going to be a matter of time, isn't it, until it goes the same way as mobile phones. But yeah, so that's really it for my CB radio. Other things that it's handy to pick up one of these kind of multi adapter things. If your car's only got a single 12-volt cigarette lighter socket, just to make sure you can keep other bits and pieces charged. So I have a separate USB charging port, as well as the separate kind of block of 12-volt sockets. And I think for my car setup, that is pretty much it. It's not a difficult thing to do, it's not a difficult thing to set up. What you do need to consider is your SWR. Now I'll show you this now. So this radio has an SWR, a SWR meter on it. So my SWR in this car is 1.7. That's not ideal. Ideally it would be 1.1, but 1.7 is not bad. I wouldn't be happy to have 1.7 in the shed setup, but in the car I'll take 1.7. If your SWR was too high, you can actually damage your radio, because what it means is that power that you're transmitting when you key up isn't leaving the radio. It's not successfully, all of it isn't successfully leaving the radio, getting up that chain of coax cable and out of your antenna into the air. You're not sending all of that power out. Some of it is backing up into your radio, and that could be because of damaged coaxial cable, or pinched coaxial cable, or coaxial cable that's tied, kind of turned at too tighter an angle. You want gentle angles on your coax, not like this. Which is what I was talking about back at the beginning of the video. So that's really the only thing you've got to consider, is your SWR. The other thing that could cause FWR is an antenna that's not made for 27 megahertz, or some of those really crappy Chinese Bingfu, I think they're called, or something. They're really crappy Chinese CB antennas. They're about 10 inches long. and they're sold on the likes of TeamU and stuff like that. So coax cable or your antenna is what's going to cause you a problem with your SWR. So that's it, guys, I think. So what I would say is, if you're curious in CB radio, just get a CB radio. And I'm talking about you need more than 4 watts. I mean, it's good to have more than 4 watts. If it's you and a mate or a couple of people, or you already know there's some local people in your area using CB radio, 4 watts for local communications is fine. You're still going to get that skip rolling in, and hill to hill you'll still get some phenomenal distance with 4 watts, so don't be put off by that. However, what I would say is, if you're looking at buying a CB radio, I would be looking more at a converted amateur radio, so the CRT SS9900, SS6900, or any of the other brands out there, but I really like these CRTs. If you've got any thoughts or any opinions, you disagree with anything that I've said, or there's anything else you could comment that would be helpful to anybody else watching this video that may be new to CB radio, please drop it in the comments in the next video. If it's relevant, I'll read it out, I'll reply, or I'll pass your information on to anyone else that may be watching.